And welcome everyone to a very special edition of the Washington Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm, of course, Mike, and I just finished watching Monday Night Raw here. It's really weird that I can watch it on my cell phone live as opposed to it's just now starting here on the West Coast on television. So I'm here to give some of my reactions and recaps. Of course, let's get right into it. Roman Reigns, Joe Anoa'i. I don't care who you are. I am just so incredibly happy and proud that he announced that he is in remission for his leukemia. I mean, that's the best news that you could ever receive. The crowd in Atlanta just seemed genuinely happy. I mean, it was probably one of the loudest reactions I've heard for him since he left to get treatment for his leukemia. And the reaction he got was just amazing. The crowd, was showering him with "Thank you, Roman," and all that. But it was a really great thing to see him come out and say that he's back. There wasn't any really, I would have expected Dean Ambrose to come out with the way they're portraying his character here lately. One minute he's burning his Shield gear, acting like he's Bane from the Batman movies, and he's, a heel. And he comes out to confront Elias tonight, and he's using his old entrance music. So that was kind of confusing, but, considering that his contract is up right after WrestleMania, and he's already said that he will not sign his new contract. So it should be interesting to see how they portray him between now and, WrestleMania. Of course, Fastlane is a week from this coming Sunday. Oh, geez. Does that mean? Wait a minute. No, I'll still be able to do a recap for you guys. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. And of course, they were showing all the Hall of Famers who were attending because it was Ric Flair's 70th birthday today. So they showed guys like Shawn Michaels, hobnobbing with Johnny Gargano. Didn't really get to see Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa on this episode. We did see Ricochet and Aleister Black team up to take on the Revival. If the Revival is going to be a tag team champions, they should not be losing to these NXT upstarts. Let guys like the Ascension or the B Team, let them face these NXT call-ups and not have your tag champs lose 2 weeks in a row. Last week they lost to DIY. This week they lose to Ricochet and Aleister Black. And of course there was a rumor going around that Drew McIntyre was injured at a house show. It was a knee injury, but he looked pretty okay tonight in his no disqualification match with Dean Ambrose. Of course, Elias gets involved, so it looks like Elias is now part of this crew with Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and now Elias. So after McIntyre gets the win in a very entertaining no DQ match. Um, the foursome attack Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins comes out with a chair onto the stage, and then all of a sudden you hear Roman Reigns music go off, and the crowd just went nuts because they knew that this is the first action he'd seen since October when he announced his leukemia diagnosis, and he did his usual stick with the Superman punch, and of course the spear to Drew Galloway or McIntyre. I'm sorry, I've been watching him so long that I still want to call him Galloway because that's his real name. That's what he was called, on the independent scene, in Evolve and Dragon Gate USA, which is no longer around. Of course, ICW. And I told you guys I was going to try to get the ICW Square Go results on the last episode, which was yesterday, and I managed to find them. Start off, there were new tag team champions crowned. Ashton Smith, who isn't, part of NXT UK, and his tag partner, Rampage Brown, lost the titles to the tag team known as the Kings of Catch, Aspen Faith and Lewis Gervin. Lewis Gervin and Aspen Faith are two very young Scottish wrestlers. They're both in their, I want to say they're in their early 20s. And both of them have been wrestling for probably about 10 years now, I want to say. So, the Kings of Catch are the new ICW Tag Team Champions. The Women's Championship, the title holder Kaylee Ray, who is now also part of NXT UK, retained her title over NXT UK Women's Champ, Toni Storm. For the ICW 0G Championship, Joe Coffey, who is also in NXT UK, you notice a pattern here? You noticing the pattern here? He defeated the Russian, outstanding Russian import, Ilja Dragunov, who has also signed with NXT UK. Oh, and it looks like Jeff Jarrett was in the Square Go match. Sorry. I'm just reading some of the... and of course I mentioned the ICW World Heavyweight title was Lionheart versus Angelico. Lionheart retains the title. And in the Square Go match, Rudo Lightning, also known as Red Lightning, won the 2019 Square Go match, eliminating Joe Hendry, which makes this even more interesting. Red Lightning actually won the very first Square Go match. So there's your results from the Square Go. But back to the Raw recap. Of course, I just noticed that Jeff Jarrett, the Hall of Famer and now one of the new producers and agents in the WWE, was in the Square Go last night at the number 29 position. What am I doing here? So, the whole, of course, there was the big angle. Sorry, I was sidetracked. There was a big angle tonight After the during after the women's tag team match with Ronda Rousey and Natalia taking on Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan. Towards the end of the match, Becky Lynch comes out on a single crutch, and Natalia tries to stop her, and um, Becky Lynch attacks Natalia with the crutch. The producers and agents come out to separate Rousey and Lynch. They want to get at each other. They cut to a commercial. Ronda's helping Natalia up the ramp when she goes back to the ring and screams for Vince McMahon to come out. And instead, Stephanie comes out. They have a little bit of a confrontation. Ronda wants Becky Lynch to be reinstated so they could have Becky versus Charlotte versus Ronda at WrestleMania. Stephanie, says no. So Ronda tells her dad, tells Stephanie to tell her dad to not do what's best for business, but to do the right thing. And she laid the women's title down in the middle of the ring and walked off. So that was a rather interesting story, and I just got an instant message on my Facebook Messenger. Tell one of my friends down in Florida that I'm doing my podcast live. Some of the other matches that happened. Finn Balor was a guest on the Moment of Bliss, and I don't know what they're trying to do with Alexa Bliss here. She says, it was in total heel mode about being, by Ronda and all that, and if they need somebody to take her spot, she's always there. And then she's all flirtatious with Finn Balor and Leo Rush, and I've said this about Leo Rush before, but he made me a believer tonight. I mean, he had a outstanding match with Finn Balor for the Intercontinental title tonight. They told a great story for it. I mean, it was probably one of the better matches of the night. Even though Leo Rush is probably about $165, maybe 5'5", he definitely, Finn Balor and Leo Rush looked really good together, and I'd like to see that match again. Of course, a Hall of Famer made his return to the ring tonight. Kurt Angle defeated Jinder Mahal with the ankle lock, and after the match, he gave two very, very nasty-looking German suplexes to the Singh brothers. It looked really, really bad. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they landed right on their heads. It was pretty brutal. And of course, they did a little thing with the Ascension, poking fun at Otis of Heavy Machinery, and I like the Heavy Machinery tag team. You've got Tucker Knight, who is from, believe it or not, Hubbard, Oregon. So he's, a local kid here. And then you got Otis Dozovic. They're just calling him Tucker and Otis now. They're not even using their last names. Otis, he is thick. He is built like a rolling, like a bowling ball, basically. But a wrecking ball is what I would call him. Of course, he had the non-match with Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman that really didn't get started, but it ended with Strowman laying out Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush, so that was pretty entertaining. And then, of course, we had the McIntyre versus